What if the one thing holding you back isn't your ideas, but how you speak them? This audiobook will reveal the hidden habits, words, and mindset that separate ordinary talkers from true leaders. Command a room, connect with anyone, and speak with the kind of presence people trust and follow. Your voice already has power. It's time to unlock it. Step up, speak up, and lead with every word. Introduction. Why leadership? Is a language. Let's begin with a simple truth. Leaders don't just lead with actions, they lead with words. Think about the most powerful leaders in history. The ones who moved nations, inspired revolutions, and changed the course of people's lives. They didn't do it with spreadsheets or silence. They did it with speech, with words that cut through the noise, with phrases that planted flags in people's hearts, with a voice that didn't just talk, it led. You see, leadership is more than a title, more than a position on an org chart, more than being in charge. Leadership is influence, and influence is transmitted through language. The power of words in leadership. Words are your most powerful tool. They can build up or tear down, unite or divide, create vision or confusion, spark action or stall it altogether. A true leader understands that every word they say sends a signal. Every phrase, every pause, every tone. It either builds trust or breaks it. It either invites people forward or pushes them away. This audiobook is your guide to making sure that when you speak, you lead. How speech shapes perception and influence. We've all experienced it. That moment when someone walks into a room and starts speaking, and instantly everyone pays attention, not because they shouted, not because of their title, but because of their presence, their poise, the clarity in their voice, the confidence in their message. And maybe, if you're being honest, you've also experienced the opposite. When you had something important to say, but it didn't land. People talked over you, or nodded politely and moved on. Not because your ideas weren't good, but because your delivery didn't carry them across. The truth is, how you speak changes how people see you. If you sound unsure, they'll doubt your leadership. If you ramble, they'll get confused. If you hesitate, they'll hesitate. But if you speak with clarity, with direction, and with presence, you become the kind of person people follow. This isn't about sounding smart or being a natural speaker.
This is about owning your voice, training your delivery, and mastering the subtle art of leading through language. Why this audiobook matters now. More than ever, we are living in a time of noise, social media, news cycles, endless meetings,
constant emails. It's never been harder to cut through the clutter. Attention is scarce. Trust is fragile. And people are looking for leaders who can give them clarity in the chaos. That's where you come in. Whether you're leading a team, building a business, managing your family, or just trying to be more confident in everyday conversations, your voice matters more than ever. This isn't just for CEOs or public speakers. This is for anyone who wants to speak with intention, influence, and impact. This audiobook is here because your leadership voice needs to be heard, and it needs to be heard now. What you'll gain: confidence, clarity, impact, over the next 10 chapters. You're going to develop 3 critical traits of great communicators, the kind who lead every time they open their mouth. Confidence. You'll learn how to speak without fear, own the room, and project calm authority in any situation. Clarity. You'll master how to make your message land. No more rambling, no more filler, just sharp, clear communication that gets results. Impact. You'll learn how to speak in a way that moves people, that sparks action, creates alignment, and earns trust. This is not a lecture. This is a practical, hands-on guide that you can use immediately. And by the end of this journey, you won't just talk like a leader, you'll become one. How to use this audiobook. Listen, reflect, apply. This audiobook is designed to work like a leadership gym for your voice. Each chapter gives you mindset shifts, language techniques, and real-world strategies you can start using today. Here's how to get the most out of it. Ver. Listen actively. Don't just let the words wash over you. Tune in. Imagine how each idea applies to your life, your meetings, your relationships. Reflect honestly. Where are you strong? Where do you stumble? Where do you hesitate? And where do you shine? This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Apply relentlessly. Take one tip from each chapter and use it within 24 hours. Try it in a conversation, use it in an email, test it in a meeting. Practice turns insight into instinct. Remember, leadership isn't built in a day. But with repetition, intention, and the right tools, your voice becomes a force of change. A final thought before we begin. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And you don't have to wait for permission to lead. Your voice has value. Your message has meaning. And with the right approach, the way you speak can become your greatest leadership strength. So let's begin this journey, not just to talk like a leader, but to become on word by word. Chapter 1. The Leader's Voice. It starts with presence. Have you ever walked into a room, heard someone speak, and immediately felt drawn in? They didn't raise their voice. They didn't need a fancy title. They just spoke, and the room shifted. That's not charisma. That's not luck. That's presence. And when it comes to talking like a leader, presence is the first and most important skill you'll build. Let's be clear. Presence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the voice people want to listen to. And you don't need to be born with it. You can learn it, practice it, strengthen it. And by the end of this chapter, you'll know exactly how. What does a leader's voice sound like? When people think of a leader's voice, they often picture someone commanding a stage, booming with authority. But here's the truth. A leader's voice isn't just heard, it's felt. It doesn't matter if you're introverted or extroverted, soft-spoken or expressive. A leader's voice carries weight because of how it's delivered, not just what is said. So, what does it sound like? It sounds grounded, steady, confident, unrushed. It sounds intentional. Every word has purpose. It sounds calm under pressure, even when emotions run high. It sounds engaged, tuned in, connected, aware. But most of all, a leader's voice carries a message that says, "You're safe here. I've got this. Let's move forward." That's presence. The psychology of vocal presence. Now let's go deeper into the why behind presence. When someone hears your voice, their brain is doing three things at once, often subconsciously. Scanning for safety. Is this person calm or chaotic? Evaluating authority. Do they sound like they believe in what they're saying? Looking for connection. Do I feel seen and heard? Presence communicates all three, and it does it in seconds. That's because humans are wired to feel before we analyze. Before they even process your words, people sense your energy, your tone, your rhythm. If your voice shakes, if your words rush, if your tone is sharp or scattered, people pick that up. But if you're grounded, composed, and tuned in, people naturally relax, they lean in, they trust you. Here's a powerful reminder. People don't remember every word you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. That feeling begins with vocal presence, breathing, tone, and cadence. Your hidden tools. Let's talk about the three silent weapons behind a powerful voice: breath, tone, and cadence. These are your tools for building a leader's voice, and they're easier to control than you think. Breathing, your foundation. Breath is the root of vocal strength. Shallow, rushed breathing leads to shaky, high-pitched speech. Deep, grounded breathing leads to calm, stable delivery. Try this. Take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6. Do this 3 times. Feel your body settle. That's the state you want to be in before any important conversation. Breath grounds your presence and fuels your voice. Use this technique before presentations, difficult conversations, job interviews, even Zoom calls. A leader breathes before they speak. And when they do speak, it's with control. Tone. The emotion in your voice tone isn't what you say, it's how you say it. The same phrase, "We'll get through this," can feel comforting, robotic, or even dismissive depending on tone. Your tone is shaped by your emotional state, your confidence level, your connection to what you're saying. Want to build trust. Speak with warmth. Want to inspire action? Speak with energy. Want to calm a tense room? Lower your tone and slow your speech. Start becoming aware of your tone throughout the day. Catch yourself when you slip into auto-tone, that flat, rushed delivery we use when we're distracted or tired. Bring intention back to your sound. Cadence, the rhythm of leadership. Cadence is how your words flow. Great speakers don't rush. They speak in beats, not paragraphs. They understand the power of pause. They give ideas room to breathe. They build momentum, then land their point like a drum hit. Want to sound more like a leader immediately? Slow. Down. Let your words come with rhythm. Think of your voice like a song. Great songs don't race. They flow. How to command attention without yelling. Let's break a myth right now. You do not need to raise your voice to raise your impact. In fact, the opposite is often true. The quietest person in the room can have the most powerful presence. If their words are clear, their tone is steady, and their message is focused. So how do you command attention without raising your voice? Enter a room with intention before you speak. How you enter a space matters, physically and vocally. Walk in with your posture tall, chin level, and take a breath before speaking. Let your silence say, "I'm centered." Let your calm say, "I'm here with purpose." Use eye contact to anchor your words. Even in audio-only situations, you can speak with your eyes. That means focusing your energy outward, imagining the person or audience you're addressing. When people feel your attention, they give you theirs. Speak less, say more. Leaders don't ramble. They deliver the point and let it land. Practice making your message shorter, sharper, and stronger. Don't say, I was just thinking that maybe we could sort of try doing it differently. Say, let's try a different approach. Fewer words, more presence, daily vocal warm-ups and presence exercises. Like any skill, your leadership voice grows with daily repetition. Here are a few exercises you can use to build vocal strength and presence. Vocal warm-up, 5 minutes a day. Lip trills. Loosen your face and voice with a vibrating brr sound. Humming. Start low and hum your way up the scale to open vocal range. Tongue twisters. Try red leather, yellow leather, or unique New York, slowly and clearly. Projection practice. Say a sentence like, "I lead with clarity," while imagining someone across the room. Presence practice. Before important moments. Stand still. Feet, shoulder width apart. Breathe deeply for 60 seconds. Roll your shoulders. Release tension. Speak your first sentence with full intention. Visualize your message landing like a seed and your voice planting it. Presence is a practice, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Recap. Presence is power. Let's bring it all together. To talk like a leader, you don't need to be loud. You need to be present. Your presence begins with grounded breathing, controlled tone, deliberate cadence, confident posture and eye contact. Intentional words delivered with care. When you master your presence, People don't just hear you. They feel you, they trust you, they listen, they follow. This is the foundation. And from here, we'll build everything else, one chapter at a time. Leadership Practice Challenge. Before you move on, here's a challenge for today. Record yourself saying this sentence. I lead with calm, confident clarity. Now play it back. How does it sound? Say it again, slower, with more breath, with intention. Feel the difference? Practice it every morning this week. Not just as words, but as a declaration. You're not just learning to talk like a leader. You're becoming one. Chapter 2. Speak with purpose, not just words. Let's start with a bold truth. People don't follow noise. They follow purpose. In a world full of constant chatter, scattered ideas, and empty buzzwords, the leaders who rise above are the ones who speak with intention. They don't just talk to fill silence. They speak to move something forward. A decision, an idea, a vision, a connection. This chapter is about shifting your communication from reactive to deliberate, from vague to clear, from talking just to talk, to talking to lead. Why intention drives influence? Here's a question to ask yourself before any conversation, meeting, or message. What do I want them to think, feel, or do as a result of what I say? That's intention. Without it, your words float, they sound nice, maybe even clever, but they don't land, they don't create action, they don't create trust, they don't create results. But when your speech is driven by a clear goal, people feel it, they lean in, they remember, they move. Intentional communication turns a good speaker into a leader. Because let's face it, anyone can speak. But not everyone knows why they're speaking. How to define your communication goals? To speak with purpose, you need a mental compass. That compass is a set of communication goals, specific outcomes you're aiming to create when you open your mouth. Think of it like this. Before a pilot takes off, they file a flight plan. They don't just say, let's go fly. They say, here's where we're going, and here's how we'll get there. Your voice needs the same plan. Here's how to set one. Step 1. Know your outcome. Ask, what's the one idea I want to get across? What decision do I want them to make? What action do I want them to take? Get crystal clear. If you can't summarize your goal in one sentence, you're not ready to speak yet. Step 2. Know your audience. Who are you speaking to? What do they care about? What might they resist? Tailor your tone, examples, and structure to their world, not just yours. Step 3. Know your why. This is deeper than the outcome. This is your emotional engine. Why does this message matter to you? When? You speak from your why. People don't just hear logic. They feel your conviction. Avoiding fluff. Clarity over charisma. Now here's where many smart people trip up. They think, if I sound passionate and throw in a few big words, people will be impressed. Wrong. Leadership isn't about impressing people. It's about empowering them. And that starts with clarity. Let's be honest. Charisma without clarity is just noise. If you speak in vague generalities, overloaded sentences, or endless tangents, you confuse people. And a confused mind doesn't trust. It doesn't act. It checks out. So here's your mantra. Simple is strong. Specific is sticky. Short is smart. Let's unpack that. Simple is strong. Don't overcomplicate. Use words a 12-year-old would understand. Clear beats clever. Specific is sticky. Give real examples. Real stories, real consequences. Short is smart. Cut the fluff. Get to the point. Trust your message. The next time you prepare a message, ask, what's the one key point? What does my audience really need to hear? What can I cut? Then cut it. The power pause and mindful pacing. Let's talk about one of the most underused tools in leadership speech, the pause. Pauses aren't just dramatic. They're strategic. They give your audience time to think. They give your message time to land. They give your voice time to breathe. We call this the power pause. Here's how to use it. Before you begin, take a full breath and pause for 2 seconds. This signals presence. People notice. Before a key point drop, a short pause before your "ah." Most important line. This builds anticipation. Here's the bottom line. Pause. We're not going back. We're moving forward. After a key point. Let your message sit in the air. Give people time to feel it. That choice changed the course of my life. Pause, and it can change yours. Pacing is power. You don't need to rush to sound smart. Speak slower than you think you need to. Breathe deeper than feels natural. Let silence serve your message. Frameworks for intentional speaking, the Speak model. To make this practical, let's introduce a simple framework you can use before any important conversation, presentation, or even tough talk. It's called the Speak model, S. Set the intention. What do I want them to understand, feel, or do, P. Plan the message. What's the main idea I need to deliver? What are my 2 to 3 supporting points? E. Eliminate the fluff. What's distracting, vague, or unnecessary? Trim it down. A. Align with the audience. What language, tone, or examples will resonate with them? K. Keep it real. Am I speaking from truth? Am I connected to this message? Emotionally? Let's walk through a real example using Speak. Imagine you're giving a team update after a tough quarter. S. Intention. I want them to feel hopeful and focused, not discouraged. P. Message. Yes, we missed our targets. But here's what we learned and how we'll bounce back stronger. E. Fluff. Cut out jargon, avoid excuses, focus on solutions. A. Audience. They're tired. They need clarity, not hype. K. Keep it real, acknowledge the struggle, then speak from confidence and care. With Speak, you're no longer winging it. You're leading with language that's sharp, strategic, and full of purpose. Practice prompt. Your 60-second leadership message. Let's try something. Think of a message you need to deliver soon. A meeting, a conversation, a pitch. Now using Speak, write a 60-second version of that message. What's the one point? Who's it for? What's your goal? What fluff can you cut? Then read it aloud. Record it. Play it back. Does it sound intentional, clear, confident, refine? Repeat. With practice, intentional speech becomes second nature. Recap. Don't just talk. Lead with purpose. Let's bring this home. You don't become a leader by talking more. You become a leader by speaking with purpose. Remember, intention drives influence. Clarity beats charisma. Pauses carry power. Frameworks give you focus. Every conversation is a chance to lead. Every sentence is a chance to build trust. Every word you choose can move people. If it's chosen with purpose, you're not just learning to speak better. You're learning to speak like a leader. Leadership Practice Challenge for the next 3 days. Before any important message, big or small, run it through the Speak model. Then, at the end of the day, ask yourself, did my words move something forward? If the answer is yes, you're on the path. If not, refine. Try again tomorrow. Because leadership isn't about having all the right words. It's about having a clear reason to speak. And you? You've got something worth saying. Chapter 3. Confidence. You can hear. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sounded confident but didn't feel it? Or maybe you felt strong inside but your voice just didn't reflect it. This chapter is about closing that gap. Because confidence, real, lasting, believable confidence, doesn't begin in your throat. It begins in your mindset. But here's the best part. Once you build vocal confidence from the inside out, people hear it. It's in your tone. It's in your phrasing. It's in the quiet certainty of someone who doesn't need to prove themselves. Because they already know who they are, and that's the version of you the world wants to hear from. Let's help them hear it, loud and clear. Building vocal confidence from the inside. Outconfidence isn't something you find, it's something you practice. It's not a personality trait. It's a habit. And just like a muscle, it grows the more you use it. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Confidence doesn't mean never feeling nervous. It means you know how to speak anyway. Most people think, when I feel confident, then I'll speak up. But leaders flip the script. When I speak up, I build confidence. Every time you use your voice, you strengthen it, even if it shakes, especially when it shakes. So let's stop waiting to feel ready. Instead, let's practice being ready. Overcoming fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. Let's name the things that hold most people back. Fear of judgment, fear of making a mistake, fear of not sounding smart enough or qualified enough, fear of being ignored. Sound familiar? Good. You're not alone. Even world-class speakers feel this. The difference? They've learned to speak anyway. Here's how to reframe that fear. Your voice isn't about you. It's about service. When you speak as a leader, your focus shifts from self to service. Your job is to help, to guide, to move people forward, not to perform perfectly. So when fear kicks in, ask, who am I speaking for? That one question can break the spell of self-doubt. Replace, what if I mess up, with, what if I help someone? Fear makes your voice small. Purpose makes it big. Remember, nobody's perfect. You're not being graded. You're being received, and people respond to honesty, not polish. Rehearse with compassion, not criticism. Don't rehearse to tear yourself down. Rehearse to build yourself up. Practice saying this aloud before you speak. I speak with purpose. My words have value. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be present. That is a leadership mindset. How confident people talk. Phrasing, rhythm, tone, want to sound more confident instantly. It's not about speaking louder. It's about how you say things. Here are 3 vocal habits that confident speakers use. Phrasing. They speak in complete thoughts. Confident speakers finish their sentences. They don't trail off with, so, yeah, I don't know. That's just me, I guess. Instead, they say, here's what I think, and here's why. When you own your phrasing, people hear your conviction. Rhythm. They pause with purpose. Confidence has a calm, controlled rhythm. Nervous speech is fast, scattered, or overly wordy. Speak in clear beats. Use silence. Let your message breathe. I've thought about this. Pause. And here's what I suggest. That pause says more than 50 filler words ever could. Tone. They use a downward inflection. This is a big one. Many people end their sentences with an upward inflection. It makes statements sound like questions. I think we could try this approach? That sounds unsure. Confident speakers end key sentences with a downward inflection, a tone that falls slightly at the end. I believe this is the right direction. That simple change shifts how people perceive your authority. So next time you speak, listen to your endings. Are you asking permission, or are you owning your voice? Body language. That supports vocal confidence. Your voice doesn't operate in a vacuum. It's connected to your body, your breath, your posture, your presence. Here's how to make sure your body is backing up your voice. Stand or sit tall, lengthen your spine, relax your shoulders, ground your feet. When your body opens up, your voice opens up too. Slouching compresses your lungs and your confidence. Use eye contact or eye energy in audio. If you're in person, hold natural, steady eye contact. Not a stare, just connection. If you're on audio, visualize the person you're speaking to. Imagine sending your energy through the mic. That simple shift from internal nerves to outward energy changes everything. Use calm, controlled. Gestures avoid fidgeting. Use your hands to emphasize, not to distract. In short, move with meaning. Speak with stillness. Let your presence speak before your words do. Confidence-building exercises. Let's put it into practice. Here are 5 daily tools to build the sound of real, grounded confidence. Visualization. See it before you say it. Before a big talk, take 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Picture yourself walking into the room or turning on the mic. See yourself grounded, calm, ready. Feel the words landing. Hear the applause, the nods, the yeses. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between real and imagined success. Visualize it, then go live it. Self-affirmation. Rewire the inner dialogue every morning. Say this aloud. I speak with confidence. I am calm, clear, and capable. My voice matters. It might feel silly at first. Say it anyway. Speak it into your nervous system. Cold openers. Start strong in conversations. Practice this daily. Walk into a room, a call, or a meeting and speak. The first sentence with clarity and intent instead of, hey, so, I just had a quick thought. Try. Hey team, I've got an idea I'd like to share. Lead with certainty. You'll feel the shift immediately. The mirror drill. Practice with feedback. Look yourself in the mirror. Deliver your message out loud. Watch your face, your posture, your energy. Ask yourself, do I look like someone I'd follow? Does my tone match my message? Adjust, then repeat. The 3-tone exercise. Say 1 sentence. I've got this. In 3 ways. With fear, with forced energy, with calm confidence. Listen to how it changes. Then choose the version that feels true and use that voice every day. Recap. You already have what you need. Let's be honest, you're not trying to become someone else. You're not faking confidence. You're reclaiming it. The voice of leadership is already in you. It's just been buried under fear, pressure, or perfectionism. But now you've got tools, a mindset of service over self-techniques for phrasing, rhythm, and tone. Body language that empowers your voice, daily practices to grow your belief from the inside out, and most of all, you've got courage. Because confidence doesn't start with certainty. It starts with courage. Leadership practice. Challenge for the next week. Begin every important conversation with a cold opener. A sentence spoken with calm, clear confidence. Then after each one, reflect. Did I shrink my voice, or did I stand in it? If you shrunk, that's okay. Reflect, reset, repeat. If you stood in it, even a little, celebrate. You just built the muscle. And tomorrow, you'll speak stronger. Because now, your confidence isn't just inside. Now they can hear it. Chapter 4. The Language of Authority. Let's be clear about something up front. Authority isn't about control. It's about clarity. It's not about dominating the room. It's about directing it. Great leaders don't just speak. They lead with language. Their words have weight. Their phrasing earns respect. Their tone says, I know where we're going, and I'm taking you there. In this chapter, we're diving deep into how language shapes authority, and how you can start speaking with the kind of presence that makes people listen, trust, and follow. How leaders use language to establish authority. Think about the most effective leader you've ever heard. Maybe it was a coach, a boss, a speaker, or even a parent. They didn't just speak with confidence. They spoke from clarity. They didn't waffle. They didn't apologize for existing. They didn't pad every sentence with kind of, just, or maybe. They said what they meant. They owned their message. And they used language that felt solid. That's the language of authority. And here's the key. It's not about being forceful. It's about being intentional. When you speak with authority, you don't need to demand respect. Your words earn it for you. Let's break down how. VS. Power phrases versus filler words. Let's start with the basics. Filler words are those little, verbal crutches that sneak into our speech when we're nervous, unsure, or trying to soften our message. They sound like, just wanted to say, I'm not sure, but maybe we could, kind of, like, now. We all use them, and they're not evil. But when you overuse them, you dilute your presence. You sound hesitant, even when your ideas are solid. So what do leaders use instead? Power phrases. These are short, clear, intentional phrases that signal confidence, direction, and credibility. Here are a few examples. Filler authority upgrade. I think maybe we should. Here's what I recommend. I'm just wondering if. Let's consider this. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have questions. Sorry, but here's what we need to address. The goal isn't to sound robotic. It's to speak with ownership. Assertiveness. Without aggression. Let's get one thing straight. Authority is not volume. It's not ego. It's not domination. It's calm, confident assertiveness. Assertiveness means, I have a voice, and I will use it, clearly, respectfully, and without shrinking. Here's how to sound assertive without crossing into aggression. Use direct language and not vague hints instead of, maybe we could try something different? Let's try a different approach. Drop the apologies when they're not needed. You don't need to say sorry for having ideas, needs, or questions. Replace, sorry, can I add something? With, I'd like to add something. Here, politeness is great. Apologizing for existing, not necessary. Speak in statements, not disclaimers. Avoid stacking your sentences with self-doubt. I don't know if this is right, but maybe we should. Instead, own it. Here's my take. We should try this. Even if you're not sure, say it like you are. You can always adjust. But if you lead with hesitation, that's all people hear. The impact of phrases like, let's look at some go-to authority phrases that instantly elevate how you're heard. I believe. This is your personal stamp of ownership. It signals clarity and conviction. I believe this approach will solve the issue. I believe we're ready for the next step. Use it when you want to put your leadership behind an idea and make it yours. Let's move forward. This is a progress phrase. It guides momentum and signals leadership without needing permission. Let's move forward with the proposal. Let's move forward and regroup next week. Notice the tone. It's decisive, but collaborative. That's leadership. Here's what we'll do. This one's powerful. It eliminates ambiguity and shows direction. Here's what we'll do. I'll handle the client call, and you'll prep the deck. Here's what we'll do next. We'll test this idea for 2 weeks, then revisit. People crave clarity. This phrase delivers it. Phrases that undermine credibility. Now, let's talk about what not to say, especially if you want to be taken seriously. Here are some credibility killers you'll want to phase out of your speech. I'm not an expert, but you just disqualified yourself before you even spoke. Instead say, from what I've seen, based on my experience. Even if you're not the expert, you can still speak from value. I might be wrong, but this doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Say, here's my perspective. Let me offer an idea. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. Does that make sense? This sounds like you're unsure you made sense, even if you did. Instead, say, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to clarify anything further. One sounds unsure, the other sounds ready. I'm sorry to bother you. Unless you've actually done something wrong, drop the apology. I wanted to quickly follow up. I'm checking in on this. You can be polite without apologizing for showing up. Quick exercise. Upgrade your language. Let's put this into practice. Take a sentence you've recently said, maybe in a meeting, a pitch, or even a text, and rewrite it using authority. Language. Original. Hey, I'm just checking if maybe you had a chance to look at that? Authority upgrade. Hi, checking in to see if you've had a chance to review. Original. I might be wrong, but I think this could work. Authority upgrade. Here's an approach I think could work. This isn't about sounding perfect. It's about sounding intentional. Recap. Speak like a leader, not a pleaser. Let's bring it all together. Authority isn't a tone. It's a decision. It's the decision to speak with purpose, to own your voice, and to choose words that move things forward. Here's what you've learned in this chapter. Leaders use power phrases, not filler. Assertiveness is calm clarity, not aggression. Your authority is built through language, not volume. Certain phrases lift your presence, I believe. Others undermine it. I'm not an expert, but every word you say either builds trust or breaks it. So choose words that carry weight, because when your language has authority, your leadership becomes undeniable. Leadership Practice Challenge. This week, try this challenge. Pick 3 filler phrases you use often, like just, I think, or kind of. Replace them with power phrases for 7 straight days. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I speak like a leader today, or did I ask for permission with my words? Track how people respond. You'll likely notice more respect, more clarity, more alignment. That's the power of language. With authority. And that's what you're now equipped to use every time you speak. Chapter 5. Listening. Like a leader. Let's start with a truth that surprises some people. Great leaders talk less than you think. They don't fill every silence. They don't talk over others to sound smart. And they don't listen just to reply. They listen to understand. In fact, one of the most powerful leadership tools you have isn't your voice, it's your ears. That might sound strange in a book about how to talk like a leader, but stay with me. Because when you listen like a leader, your words carry more weight, your presence becomes more grounded, and your team starts to trust you deeply, talking less, listening more. We live in a world that rewards noise. The louder the voice, the more attention it gets. But volume isn't value. Leadership is not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the person people listen to when they speak, because they know you've been listening all along. Here's the shift. Talk to be understood. Listen to understand. Let that sink in. When you speak only to impress, you miss connection. But when you listen with intention, you earn the right to speak with impact. Active listening techniques that build trust. So what does real leadership listening look like? It's not just nodding politely. It's not zoning out while you wait for your turn to speak. It's not pretending to care while mentally checking your email. Active listening is different. It's full body, full focus, full respect listening. Here are 5 techniques leaders use to listen at a higher level. Be fully present. Put the phone down. Close the laptop. Make eye contact. Lean in slightly. Signal with your posture that this person has your full attention. Presence builds respect. Distraction erodes it. Listen without rehearsing. Most people don't listen. They prepare their response while the other person is still talking. That's not listening. That's waiting to speak. Practice holding space for someone's words before jumping in. Let their thoughts land. Use silence wisely. You don't have to fill every gap. Sometimes, a pause after someone speaks invites deeper honesty. Give people room to keep going. They often will. Silence is a powerful part of listening. It says, I'm still here. You're still safe to keep going. Echoing, paraphrasing, and reflecting want to prove you're really listening. Say it back. Not like a robot, not word for word, but in a way that shows you get it. Here's how. Echoing, repeat a key word or phrase they used. So you're feeling overwhelmed. Is that right? Echoing helps someone feel heard and seen. Paraphrasing, summarize what they said in your own words. What I'm hearing is that the deadline pressure is affecting your team's focus. Did I get that right? This shows active understanding, not passive hearing. Reflecting, go deeper. Reflect not just what was said, but how it was said. It sounds like there's some frustration under that. I can hear it in your tone. Now you're not just repeating, you're connecting. These techniques build empathy, trust, and clarity. They also prevent miscommunication, a major leadership killer. Reading between the lines, emotional intelligence in dialogue. Leaders don't just listen to words. They listen to feelings beneath the words. That's emotional intelligence in action. Here's how to apply it. Listen for tone. Are they saying they're fine, but sound flat or agitated? Tone often tells the real story. Watch the body language. Do their words say, "I'm good with this," but their arms are crossed, their eyes down? You're listening with your eyes now, and that matters. Ask gentle, clarifying questions. When something doesn't add up, gently explore. I'm sensing there's more here. Want to talk it out a bit more? You're giving them permission to go deeper, without judgment. That's how trust grows. And guess what? The better you listen emotionally, the more they'll listen when it's your turn to speak. How listening boosts your speaking power. Let's connect the dots. When you listen like a leader, several amazing things happen to your voice. You speak with more relevance because you truly understand what people care about. Your responses hit the mark. You're not just reacting, you're responding. You gain quiet authority. When people feel heard by you, they start to respect your presence, even before you speak. That's leadership. Quiet, confident, magnetic. You eliminate guessing. Listening prevents the kind of vague, one-size-fits-all leadership advice that falls flat. Instead, your words land because they're rooted in reality. Listening leadership exercise. The 3-layer listen. Try this exercise the next time you're in a real conversation. Not small talk, but a meaningful exchange. Step 1. Listen for the facts. What's literally being said? What's the issue, the request, the topic? Step 2. Listen for the feeling. What emotion is underneath the words? Frustration, excitement, fear? Step 3. Listen for the value. What seems most important to them in this moment? Efficiency, respect, recognition? Once you identify all 3 layers, respond with a sentence that reflects all 3. Example. I hear that the client meeting was pushed again. Fact, and that's really wearing on you. Feeling. I get how important reliability is to you. Value. Let's figure out how to bring more of that into the process. That kind of response isn't just smart, it's rare, and rare is memorable. Memorable is powerful, and powerful is what leadership sounds like. Recap. Listening is leading. Let's rewind and reflect. In this chapter, you learned that leadership listening means talking less, understanding more. Using active listening to build trust and presence. Employing tools like echoing, paraphrasing, and reflecting. Reading emotional tone and body language like a pro. Listening first. So your words later have weight. People won't always remember exactly what you said, but they'll never forget how it felt to be truly listened to. So if you want to talk like a leader, start by listening like one. Leadership Practice Challenge. This week's challenge is simple, but it will stretch you. In every meaningful conversation, pause before responding. Ask yourself, what did I just hear factually? What emotion is underneath it? What matters most to this person right now? Reflect one of those layers back before adding your opinion. Keep a journal. Notice how your conversations shift. You'll likely find that people start opening up, deferring to your insight and trusting your voice. All because they know you listen, and that is how leadership starts to stick. Chapter 6. Storytelling for Influence. Let's start with a question. What makes people lean in when someone speaks? Is it credentials, status, data? Sometimes. But more often, it's this. A good story. A well-told story is one of the most powerful tools a leader can use. Why? Because stories aren't just information. They're transformation. They don't just tell. They move. They don't just share. They stick. In this chapter, you're going to learn how to use storytelling to inspire action, build trust, and lead with impact. Whether you're speaking to a team, pitching an idea, or motivating yourself. Let's dive in. Why stories are a leader's secret weapon. Here's a truth most leaders overlook. Facts inform. Stories influence. You can list bullet points, present charts, and quote industry benchmarks all day long. But if you really want people to remember what you said, and more importantly, feel something about it, you need a story. Because stories activate emotions, create relatability, build psychological safety, cut through complexity. Trigger. Memory. A story can take a dry meeting and turn it into a movement. A story can turn a hesitant client into a loyal partner. A story can take your everyday voice and give it the power of influence. This isn't fluff. It's backed by science. The neuroscience of storytelling and trust. Let's talk brain. Chemistry for a moment. When you tell a good story, something powerful happens in the listener's brain. Oxytocin is released. That's the trust hormone. Dopamine spikes. That's pleasure, motivation, attention. And neural coupling begins. That's when your listener's brain starts mirroring your own. In simple terms, your story literally syncs their brain to yours. That's why storytelling is such a leadership superpower. When people trust you, they'll follow you. When people relate to you, they'll listen to you. And when people remember your message, they'll act on it. And that all starts with a story well told. The structure of a compelling leadership story. Now let's get practical. How do you actually craft a story that leads people somewhere? Here's a proven structure you can use. Call it the core framework. C. Context. Where are we? Who is involved? O. Obstacle. What challenge shows up? What's at stake? R. Resolution. What changed? What was done or decided? E. Essence. What's the lesson or key message? Let's break it down with a quick example. 3 years ago, context, our team was on the verge of losing our biggest client. We had missed deadlines, miscommunicated expectations, and morale was low. Obstacle. So we made a bold decision. We reset everything, brought the client into our strategy room, and rebuilt trust from scratch. Resolution. Today, not only is that client still with us, they're our largest partner. Essence. What changed? We stopped guessing and started collaborating. That's not just a story. It's a leadership moment. It's short, emotional, directional, and memorable. Personal versus strategic stories. You might be wondering, do I have to share my personal life to be a great storyteller? The answer is, you don't have to, but it helps when done well. There are 2 types of stories every leader should keep in their toolkit. Personal stories. These come from your life. Moments of failure, success, change, or learning. They're powerful because they make you human. They create connection, vulnerability, trust. Use personal stories when you want to inspire with authenticity. You're trying to connect one-on-one. You're introducing a new idea with heart. Example. I used to fear public speaking. My hands would sweat. I'd rush my words. One day, I bombed so badly in front of a small team, I nearly quit. But that's when I decided to change everything. Voice coaching, storytelling classes, relentless practice. And now, I teach others to do the same. That's leadership by example. Strategic stories, these come from the business, the mission, or the market. They're stories with a purpose and a point. Use strategic stories when you need to pitch a vision, you want to persuade with purpose, you're leading change or launching ideas. Example: when Airbnb launched during the 2008 recession, most people said it would never work. But their founders didn't sell lodging. They sold belonging. That story, of people opening their homes, changed how we think about travel. Now you've set a tone, painted a vision, and moved your audience emotionally, all with a strategic story. How to craft stories for meetings, pitches, and motivation. Here's how to start using storytelling in real leadership scenarios, not just in speeches, but in everyday leadership moments. 1. In meetings, make points. Use a quick story to emphasize a takeaway. Let me give you a 30-second story that explains why this matters. Then follow the core framework, keep it tight, and land your message. 2. In pitches, inspire belief facts. Tell. Stories sell. Use stories to highlight customer transformation, founder journey, or user struggle. One of our early clients had the same concern. Here's what happened. That's relatability plus proof. 3. In motivation, fuel momentum when people are tired, stressed, or stuck. Don't just throw advice. Tell them a story that shows what's possible. There was a time we almost gave up on this campaign, but we stuck with it, and by week 8 the tide shifted. People want hope, and stories are hope with legs. Leadership story. Exercise. Let's build your leadership story toolkit right now. Take out a notepad or voice recorder and brainstorm 3 quick ideas. A moment you overcame something hard. A lesson you learned the hard way. A time you helped someone succeed. Pick one. Now walk it through the core structure. Context. Where and when. Obstacle. What was the challenge or risk? Resolution. What did you or someone do? Essence. What's the leadership lesson? Practice telling it out loud, as if you're in a room with your team. Keep it under 90 seconds. That story? That's leadership fuel, ready to use whenever you need it. Recap. Influence. Starts with a story. Let's summarize what we've learned. Stories build trust, attention, and influence. Neuroscience proves stories create emotional and brain alignment. The core structure, context, obstacle, resolution, essence, works in any setting. Use personal stories to connect. Strategic stories to persuade great leaders. Keep stories in their pocket, ready for meetings, pitches, and motivation. When you master storytelling, your words start doing more than filling space. They start moving people. And that is the real sound of leadership. Leadership Practice Challenge. This week, do this. Pick one meeting or conversation coming up. Prepare a 60-90-second story that supports your message. Use the core format and watch how people respond. Then reflect. Did they lean in? Did they smile, nod, or pause? Did your point land more deeply? If so, you've just experienced story-powered leadership. Chapter 7. Speak to inspire, not just inform. Let's get real for a moment. Most people talk to transfer information. Leaders talk to transform people. There's a big difference between saying something and saying something that stirs the soul. Leadership isn't just about being clear, it's about being compelling. In this chapter, we're not just learning how to talk, we're learning how to inspire. The difference between communicating and inspiring. Let's break this down. Communicating is about delivering facts, sharing updates. Explaining steps it answers the question, what do I need to know? But inspiring is about sparking emotion, creating belief, igniting action. It answers the question, why should I care? See the shift? A good communicator fills the mind. An inspiring speaker fills the heart. And when you combine both, you become a leader. People don't just listen to, they follow. Energizing your audience with vocal variation. Have you ever listened to someone speak in a monotone voice? Flat tone, same speed, no rise, no fall. It's like listening to a robot, powered by caffeine and indifference. No matter how great the content, if the voice doesn't carry energy, the message won't land. So here's the first secret to inspiring speech. Your voice is an instrument. Play it. Use these tools to bring your words to life. Pitch. Let it rise when you're excited. Lower it to draw people in. Pace. Speed up for urgency. Slow down for emphasis. Pause. A well-timed pause creates space for emotion and reflection. Volume. Get quieter to create intimacy. Louder to signal passion. You don't need to be dramatic, just dynamic. Imagine reading this same sentence in a flat, robotic voice. Now imagine it with warmth, rhythm, and energy. Which one would you follow? Exactly. Using metaphors, analogies, and emotional triggers. The brain loves stories, but it also loves shortcuts. That's what metaphors and analogies are. Shortcuts to understanding. They turn ideas into images. They make complex things simple and emotional. Let's look at a few examples. Instead of saying, we need to prepare for market fluctuations, say, we're heading into stormy weather. Let's tighten the sails and secure the deck. Instead of, this project will take consistent effort over time. Say, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's pace ourselves and stay hydrated. These visuals stick. They trigger emotion. They create urgency, comfort, or connection. Whatever you need in that moment. So next time you're preparing a talk or message, ask yourself, what metaphor could simplify this? What analogy brings it to life? What emotion am I trying to evoke? Because people don't just remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. Inspiration through vulnerability and vision. You don't have to be perfect to inspire. In fact, people are more moved by your realness than your resume. Here's the truth. Vulnerability is magnetic. When you share a moment you failed, a fear you faced, a time you struggled and got back up, people lean in. They see themselves in you. They think, if they can overcome that, maybe I can too. Now pair that with vision, and you've got a formula for pure inspiration. Vulnerability says, I've been there. Vision says, and here's where we're going next. That's powerful leadership. You become someone people don't just admire, they believe in. Motivational speaking techniques. Simplified. Let's keep it practical. You don't need to be a TED speaker to motivate people. You just need to be clear, real, and passionate. Here are 5 motivational speaking tools you can use anywhere, in meetings, one-on-ones, or a team huddle. Speak in short, punchy sentences. We've come this far. We're not turning back. We've got what it takes. That rhythm creates momentum. It feels like a drum beat. People follow drum beats. Use you more than I. You've shown grit. You've stayed focused. You've earned this next step. When your message is about them, it lands deeper. Ask belief-building questions. What if we're closer than we think? What if today is the turning point? These spark imagination, and imagination fuels action. Repeat key phrases. We're ready to lead, we're ready to rise. Repetition makes things memorable and motivational. End with energy. Always land your talk with clarity and conviction. Let's make this happen together. That's how leaders sign off. Not with noise, but with direction. Speak to inspire, a practice. Formula, here's a simple structure to help you speak with inspiration. Start with a spark, a story, quote, or bold statement. 3 years ago, we were a team of 5 in a borrowed office. 2, share the struggle. Don't sugarcoat it. Give us the real story. We failed, we argued, we almost quit. Paint the possibility. Show what's next and what's possible. Now, we have a chance to do something remarkable. Call to courage. End with a direct, inspiring call to action. Let's take the next step, not because it's easy, but because it's ours to take. That's how you lead with your voice. That's how you go from informing to inspiring. Recap. Speak to spark, not just instruct. Here's what we've covered. Communication transfers facts. Inspiration transfers belief. Your voice is an instrument. Use pitch, pace, pause, and volume. Metaphors and analogies make your message emotional and memorable. Vulnerability and vision are the core of authentic inspiration. Use motivational techniques like short sentences, language, repetition, and powerful closes. When you speak to inspire, you don't just fill time, you ignite momentum. Leadership Practice Challenge. This week, choose one message you need to deliver to your team, your audience, or even yourself. Instead of just giving information, ask, what's the emotion I want to spark? What story, image, or metaphor can bring this to life? What do I want them to believe about themselves? Then, speak it out loud. Record it. Listen to it. Tweak it. Make it better. Then deliver it with heart. And remember this, your voice doesn't just talk, it leads.
Chapter 8. The Power of Pause and Silence. Let's begin with a pause. Right now, just a few seconds. Feel that? That is power. In a world where everyone's rushing to be heard, where conversations are layered with noise, chatter, and filler,
silence becomes your secret weapon. Most people speak to fill space. Leaders learn to speak with space. In this chapter, we'll explore something most communicators overlook or fear, the pause. You'll learn how to use silence not as a gap, but as a tool to add weight, drama, and presence to everything you say. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is to say nothing at all. Let's begin. Why silence is one of your strongest tools. Here's a paradox of leadership communication. The more comfortable you are with silence, the more powerful your words become. Silence says, I'm not in a rush. I'm thinking. What I just said matters. What comes next is worth waiting for. It builds suspense, creates emphasis, and signals confidence. And here's the real key. Silence gives your audience space to feel, reflect, to agree, to imagine. Without that space, words can become overwhelming. They pile up and lose their meaning. But when you learn to pause, you let your words breathe, and your message lands deeper. Mastering dramatic pauses for impact. Let's break this down practically. A dramatic pause is not about being theatrical. It's about timing. Here's how great leaders and speakers use pauses. No. Before a key statement, you've all worked hard this quarter, but now, it's time to level up. That slight pause before it's time to level up builds suspense. It pulls your audience forward. After a powerful message, we're not here to do what's easy, we're here to do what matters. Pause. Let the meaning land. Let the silence underline your point. When emotions are high, we lost something big today. And I know it hurts. Pause. But this isn't the end of our story. Here, the pause gives room for empathy, for shared experience, for leadership to feel human. To reset the room, sometimes, when a room is distracted or chaotic, you don't need to talk over the noise. You pause, you wait. People will feel the silence and lean in. Silence creates gravity. Use it with intention. And people will hang on your words. Avoiding filler. Like, and you know. Let's get honest. We all use filler words. Like. You know? Basically. So yeah, they're verbal habits, often unconscious, but they drain your presence and weaken your authority. Here's the truth. Filler is fear in disguise. It shows up when we're nervous, uncertain, rushing to fill space, But guess what? You don't need to fill space. You're a leader. You can pause. Try this technique. Replace filler with silence instead of, I think the point is like, we need to act faster. Say, the point is, we need to act faster. That simple swap creates clarity, strength, and presence. Start becoming aware of your fillers. You don't have to eliminate them overnight. But every time you choose a pause instead, that's a leadership win. The rhythm of great speakers. Let's talk about rhythm. All great speakers, from MLK to Brené Brown to Barack Obama, have something in common. They don't just speak with words. They speak with music, the pauses, the pacing, the rise and fall of tone. It's rhythm, and rhythm is what keeps people engaged. Try listening to a great speaker and focus only on when they pause, how long they pause, where they slow down. When they speed up, you'll hear it like a song, and when you develop your own speaking rhythm, your audience won't just listen. They'll feel like they're going on a journey. Rhythm comes with practice, and it begins with one thing: respect for silence, exercises to get comfortable with stillness. Let's build your muscle for pause and silence with real, doable exercises. 1. The silent sentence. Drill: take a sentence you often say in meetings. For example, I believe this strategy will help us grow. Now say it out loud and add a pause between each phrase. I believe, pause, this strategy, pause, will help us grow. Do it again. Let each pause be 1 to 2 seconds. Get used to the stillness. You'll start to feel the power that lives in that space. 2. Record and count your fillers. Record yourself talking for 2 minutes. Pick any topic. Now play it back and count your filler words. Awareness is the first step. Next time, try again. But this time, when you feel a filler coming, pause instead. You'll start building presence with every silence. 3. Sit in silence. This may sound strange, but it works. Every day, take 2 minutes to sit in complete silence. No music, no speaking, just stillness. This resets your nervous system and helps you get comfortable with calm. From that place, your leadership voice will naturally become more grounded. Recap: why less noise creates more power. Here's what we've learned. Silence is a tool of strength, not a sign of weakness. Pauses create drama, clarity, and emphasis. Avoid filler words by replacing them with intentional silence. Great speakers use rhythm and stillness to guide attention. You can train your brain and body to become more comfortable with calm. In a noisy world, silence is your competitive edge. Don't rush. Don't ramble. Pause. Let your words breathe, and watch your presence grow. Leadership practice. Your challenge this week is simple and powerful. Choose one message or meeting coming up. Practice delivering it with deliberate pauses. Record yourself. Time your pauses. Then do it again, slower. Replace every or like with a pause instead. And finally, at least once, say nothing. Hold the silence. Let it do the talking for you. You'll be amazed at what happens when your stillness speaks louder than noise. Chapter 9. Handling tough conversations. Like a leader, let's face it. Not every conversation is comfortable. In fact, some of the most important ones never are. But here's the truth. Avoided conversations become future explosions. Leadership isn't about keeping things easy. It's about making things clear, productive, and respectful, even when the topic is tough. Whether you're giving critical feedback, navigating conflict, or addressing misalignment on your team, the way you handle hard conversations defines your leadership maturity. And here's the good news. With the right mindset, words, and tools, you can handle conflict without chaos. Let's dive in. Conflict without chaos. Let's start by debunking a myth. Conflict is not the enemy. Uncontrolled emotion is healthy conflict, when handled with honesty and respect, actually strengthens teams. It leads to breakthroughs, better ideas, and deeper trust. But many people avoid tough talks because they fear hurting someone's feelings, being seen as mean or aggressive, losing their cool, saying the wrong thing. Here's what leaders do differently. They don't avoid tension, they navigate it. Not with force, not with fear, but with calm courage. So how do we do that? Let's start with the heart of every high-stakes conversation. Your presence. Talking through disagreement with clarity and calm a tough conversation often begins before the first word. It starts with your energy, your intention, your preparation. When emotions run high, your tone, body language, and pace matter more than your vocabulary. Your calm is contagious. When you stay grounded, others are more likely to respond with balance, not defensiveness. Try this before any tough talk. Take 3 deep breaths, ground your feet. Remind yourself, this is not a fight. This is a step toward clarity. Then begin with this powerful frame. I want us to talk through this because it matters, and so do you. Boom. Tension down, respect up, conversation begins. Assertive empathy. Balancing strength and care leadership isn't about being nice all the time. But it's not about being harsh either. It's about being direct with compassion. That's the art of assertive empathy. Let's break it down. Assertiveness means you speak clearly and directly. You express your needs or expectations. You don't shy away from the truth. Empathy means you listen with care, you acknowledge feelings, you stay connected to the human being in front of you. Together, they sound like this. I see how hard you've been working, and I also need to address something that's not working. I know this isn't easy to hear, and I'm sharing it because I believe in you.
Strong, caring, clear. That's how leaders talk. The leadership sandwich method for feedback. When you need to give feedback, especially when it's tough, structure helps. That's where the leadership sandwich comes in. Here's
how it works. Start with a strength. Begin by affirming something real and specific. I appreciate how proactive you've been on the team this quarter. Deliver the truth. Get to the heart of the issue, clearly and respectfully. That said, I need to address how deadlines have been slipping the past 2 weeks. Be honest, don't soften the truth too much, but stay anchored in growth, not blame. End with belief or a next step. Wrap up with encouragement, a forward focus, or an invitation to collaborate. I know you care about doing great work. Let's look at how we can tighten the process from here. This approach keeps the tone balanced, not sugar-coated but not brutal. It helps the other person feel valued, accountable, supported. That's feedback leadership. Managing your tone under pressure. Now let's talk about one of the most underestimated leadership tools, tone. In tense moments, people don't just hear your words, they feel your tone, a raised eyebrow, a sharp word, a sigh at the wrong moment. These tiny signals can trigger defensiveness or shutdown. So what do? Slow your speech. The faster you talk, the more tension you create. Pausing between thoughts gives space for understanding. Lower your volume, not to whisper, but to stay grounded. A slightly softer voice signals control, not passivity. Soften your face. A relaxed face, a relaxed room. Even if you're delivering hard truth, a calm expression keeps the conversation human. And remember, leadership is not just what you say, it's how you say it when it matters most. Leadership language for difficult moments needs some go-to phrases. Here's a quick script bank for sticky conversations when addressing an issue. I want to be honest about something I've noticed. Here's what's working, and here's what needs attention. Let's look at what happened and how we can improve. When navigating disagreement, I hear your perspective. Can I share mine? It sounds like we're not aligned yet. Let's work through it together. I respect where you're coming from, and I see it differently. When emotions run high, let's take a breath and come back to the core issue. This matters, and I want to make sure we both feel heard. I want to move forward in a way that works for both of us. Keep these tools in your back pocket. Use them. Adapt them. Make them your own. Recap. How leaders handle hard talks. Let's rewind what we've learned. Conflict isn't bad. Avoidance is. Calm presence de-escalates tension. Assertive empathy is the sweet spot. Firm plus kind, use the leadership. Sandwich for tough feedback. Tone and body language are just as important as words. Every difficult conversation you face is a leadership opportunity, an opportunity to be clear without being cruel, to be firm without being fearful, to lead, even when it's hard. And those are the moments your team will remember most. Leadership Practice Challenge. Choose one conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's feedback for a team member. Maybe it's clearing the air with a peer. Maybe it's a check-in with yourself. Plan your opening sentence. Write down your main point. Practice your tone in front of a mirror. Then, have the conversation. Not to win, not to dominate, but to lead with courage and care. You've got this. Chapter 10. Daily Habits to Talk Like a Leader. So here we are. 10 chapters in. You've learned how to speak with presence, with purpose, with power, with calm under pressure. You've learned how to pause, how to listen, how to inspire, and now comes the most important part of all. Turning leadership communication into a daily habit. Because great speakers aren't born. They're built. One conversation, one intention, one small action at a time. In this final chapter, we're not going to add more theory. We're going to show you how to practice, how to train, how to take everything you've learned and build it into your day, so it becomes part of who you are. Let's begin. Morning vocal and mindset. Rituals. Leadership communication doesn't start with your first meeting. It starts when you wake up. Your energy, your focus, your tone, they're all shaped before you ever speak. So let's design your morning communication ritual. Here's a simple 3-part practice. 1. Vocal. Warm up, 3 minutes. Yes, just like athletes warm up their bodies, leaders should warm up their voices. Try this sequence. Deep breath in. Exhale slowly through a hum. Say the vowels A, E, I, O, U slowly and clearly. Read a paragraph out loud with full intention and clarity. This gets your voice ready, smooth, strong, and grounded. 2. Leadership affirmations, 2 minutes. Speak. These out loud. I speak with clarity and confidence. I listen fully. I lead calmly. My words have weight and purpose. Repeat your own versions. Own your presence. You're not just speaking into your day. You're setting your tone. 3. 1-minute intention. Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? In how I speak, listen, and lead. Write it down. Say it out loud. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Tracking your communication growth. What gets tracked gets improved. You don't need a spreadsheet. You need awareness. Here's a weekly habit that works. End-of-week reflection, 10 minutes. Ask yourself, where did I speak well this week? When did I feel most confident while communicating? Where did I struggle? Why? What's one thing I want to improve next week? Write your answers down. Review them. Let the feedback become fuel. This simple check-in keeps your leadership voice on course. Micro habits. Practicing in real conversations. You don't need a stage to practice leadership communication. Every day gives you dozens of chances, if you know how to look for them. Here are micro habits you can apply starting today. Start with intention. Before any meeting, ask, what's my goal in this conversation? This keeps your speaking purposeful, not just reactive. Use the power pause before answering a question or delivering a point. Pause for 1 second. That space builds clarity and calm. Reflect their words. Practice active listening. What I hear you saying is simple, powerful, trust-building. End with action. Don't just trail off. Wrap with clarity. So here's what we'll do next. To summarize, let's move forward with these small moves compound over time into leadership, presence, journaling for speech, clarity 1 of the most underrated speaking tools, a notebook. Yes, writing helps you speak better, because when you clarify your thoughts on paper, your words flow easier in real time. Try this journaling habit. Daily. Speech journal, 5-10 minutes. What's something I need to say today that matters? How do I want it to come across? What's one phrase I can use that's strong, clear, and kind? Where might I need to pause, listen, or breathe? This primes your brain to speak with intention, rhythm, and impact. Bonus: if you ever have a difficult conversation ahead, write your key points out first. It helps you process your emotions, refine your message, and lead with calm. Long-term speaking development. Plan leadership communication is a lifelong craft. The most effective communicators, the ones who command rooms, calm tensions and move people to action, never stop improving. Here's how you can grow long-term. 1. Get feedback. Regularly, ask a mentor, colleague, or coach. How do I come across when I speak? What can I improve? Don't fear feedback, seek it, and act on it. 2. Join speaking environments. Sign up for environments where you speak. Toastmasters, mastermind groups, webinars or live streams, volunteer presentations. Repetition builds rhythm and resilience. 3. Study the greats pick. One speaker a month, someone you admire, and study their delivery. How do they pause? What phrases do they use? What's their rhythm and presence? Let their excellence inspire your own. 4. Set communication goals. Each quarter, ask, what's one speaking skill I want to develop? Examples: speak slower with more intention. Ask more powerful questions in meetings. Eliminate filler words. Inspire more often. Not just inform progress with purpose. Final reflection. You don't just talk like a leader. You live it. Let's end where we began. This audiobook wasn't just about tips and tricks. It was about becoming the kind of communicator who moves people, the kind of voice that cuts through noise, the kind of presence that leads talking like. A leader isn't about sounding impressive. It's about being authentic, grounded, and intentional. It's about showing up in every conversation, fully. So remember, speak with clarity, listen with depth, pause with purpose, show empathy, even intention, and practice every day. That's how you lead. Not just with words, but with who you are. Final challenge. Build your personal practice. Write this out right now. 1 daily habit I will commit to. 1 weekly reflection I will start. 1 speaking goal I'll work on this month. Keep this somewhere. You'll see it. Your communication is your leadership, and you're no longer guessing. You're practicing, you're growing, you're speaking like a leader. Conclusion. Your voice is your leadership. Take a deep breath. You've made it. From chapter 1, all the way to now, you've taken the full journey, not just through techniques, but through transformation. And that's the whole point. This wasn't just about how to speak. It was about who you're becoming when you speak. Because here's the truth. Leadership is not a title. It's how you show up, and your voice, your presence, your energy, your words, is how the world feels your leadership. Let's recap your journey. Let's walk back through what you've just built. In Chapter 1, you discovered the leader's voice, the presence, breath, and calm that commands attention without ever needing to shout. In Chapter 2, you learned to speak with purpose, not just words, bringing clarity and intention into every conversation. In Chapter 3, you built confidence you can hear from the inside out, even in moments of fear, doubt, or pressure. In Chapter 4, you mastered the language of authority, strong phrases, assertive tone, and the power of, "Here's what we'll do." In Chapter 5, you flipped the script by listening like a leader, because listening is powerful communication. In Chapter 6, you discovered storytelling for influence, how to connect, build trust, and inspire through real, human stories. In Chapter 7, you shifted from informing to inspiring, speaking with emotion, energy, and elevated purpose. In Chapter 8, you unlocked the power of pause and silence, the quiet confidence that separates good from great. In Chapter 9, you stepped into handling tough conversations with clarity, care, and calm strength. And in Chapter 10, you built the daily habits that make all this stick, so your growth doesn't end here, it compounds. Let's be clear, this wasn't a crash course. It was a complete rewiring, because from now on, every time you speak, you'll be doing it with the awareness and intention of a leader. What leadership sounds like and feels like. So what does leadership sound like? It's not louder. It's not fancier. It's not flawless. Leadership sounds like calm in the chaos, clarity in the fog, strength without shouting, truth without blame. Vision wrapped in human connection. It sounds like someone who knows who they are and invites others to rise with them. But here's something even more important. Leadership doesn't just sound a certain way. It feels like someone who sees you. It feels like trust. It feels like possibility. It feels like momentum, and that's what you now represent. Because your voice is no longer just your words. It's your leadership in motion. One final challenge. Speak like the leader. You are now that you know how to talk like a leader. What will you do with it? Will you step into that meeting and speak with more presence? Lead your team with more clarity and care? Pause before your next difficult conversation and breathe in the strength you've built. Here's your final challenge. Choose one. Moment today to speak like the leader you are becoming. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Maybe it's saying no, calmly and firmly. Maybe it's speaking up when you usually stay quiet. Maybe it's offering praise, or clarity, or a hard truth. From a grounded, respectful place. Big or small, it counts. Every time you speak with intention, empathy, and strength, you're living the message of this audiobook. You're not performing leadership. You're practicing it. You're becoming it. Final motivational. Send off. So let me leave you with this. The world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more bravado. It needs more leaders who speak from the inside. Out leaders who know when to speak and when to listen, know how to calm a room or lift it, know how to move people, not just impress them. That leader lives in you. Your voice is more powerful than you know. Your words can change the room. Your energy can shift the mood. Your presence can inspire the next move forward. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait until you feel ready. Speak now. Speak like the leader you already are, and when you do, others will rise with you. Thank you for listening to How to Talk Like a Leader. Go lead. One word, one conversation, one moment at a time.